Hello traders, this is a DAX recap video for February the 27th for Wednesday, and this chart was posted before the open along with the morning notes. And in the morning notes I said that it looks to me like the market is preparing to make a breakout above this main resistance zone because it has spent much time here. Entire pre-market session was here, and in previous session they were testing it. Now it was looking like that they maybe can go above it, and also buyer as the third largest component of DAX had earnings today. It was a good earnings, but nevertheless we had no breakout above, and but also not really a strong rejection from here, and the DAX stayed in the range. So this speculation that breakout attempt is in the air was wrong. As we can see on the chart, they really didn't do much. Here was the pre-market high, basically very close, a few points away from main resistance zone. There was testing main resistance zone about 6:30 a.m. and from that moment a slow grind lower began. So this here was a start of the regular trading hours session. I said that the strong market would be above this pre-market support, which is obviously aggressive area of support, but we opened below it and opened basically in the middle of this next zone. As said in the morning notes, that in case of the pullback that we could expect buyers to be active on the first test of better zones, starting from this zone and then this here. Strong rejection from it. So whenever you have this kind of situation, there is a doubt, a reasonable doubt, that market either can make a break or false break or hard rejection. In either way you could expect a better move, meaning better move than this that we had today. But it is what it is. Market opened basically here in the middle of the zone, and that was our first chance right there to try along here with the stop below the zone. But this trade could only end as a break-even trade if you are really, careful, because market already bounced from at 820 from the zone, and that low from 820 was pre-market low. After that, when they went slightly below pre-market low and above, this here was at that time looking at maybe this is a false break below the zone. But you have to be careful, not only because of the buyer, but also because this is the middle of this entire range, and a bit protective here more than in this lower zone. So as the market goes lower and lower, it is going to hit better zones of support, and if it is going to go higher, maybe make a break or just go from somewhere higher to the end of some range, as it goes higher it will hit better zones of resistance also. So this here is to be more careful and more defensive, and if you did lose here on this middle zone, then it can be repaired by another long from this zone here. And also after this slide begins here at 9:30, there you could also watch what other components are doing, and maybe go here short this zone, as I was tweeted when market left this. So this is the pre-market range, this here. and market went below the zone, below the pre-market range, and then attempted the pullback, attempted to go inside that range again, and that first attempt failed, and you could use this zone also as a short, targeting this next zone below. So this trade break even at best, maybe -1 hour, it depends, or scratch, it depends on how you handle it. And this here logical is to be targeting this next zone. And in these first several hours of trading, only this candle here was a bit of more momentum, and even here at let's say 9:30, 9:40, even then at that time early in the session, vast majority of DAX companies were negative. Very similar situation like yesterday. Again, the company that had earnings, Bayer, this time like BASF yesterday was a leader. It was positive, like 3 or 4% up, and just another 1 or 2 companies were positive, and yet we didn't see a good momentum. Now when you look at this move, you can say, okay, this is a 100-point move. Yes, but it has started at 6:30, and from the open to here, really it was just like 50 points and nothing more. So it is a bit disappointing. Also here, this kind of reaction from this zone. So this is now the first test of the zone, and it was said in the morning note that expect buyers to be active on the first test, and this is that second zone. This is here, 430 to 445, and now if you're long from here, and now you're observing this kind of activity, this is really not something that a buyer would like to see, although it did make a pullback all the way to the pre-market low and slightly above, and that could be your exit for a really patient trader. So this one here, break even, scratch, loser. So at the worst case scenario is -1 hour here. This here, zone to zone trade to here. This one here, it really depends on your level of patience. It is always, school book to ask for a move to the next zone to zone move, so from here to here, but frankly this was very hard to hold all of this chopping above the zone. So when you have this move, and in this chop here at around 11 o'clock, again vast majority of DAX components were negative, and that is a risk that you can see another swift move like this to the yesterday low level or to the main support, and in that swift move you would be stopped out, and that swift move into the main support would be a great long opportunity for us, because this is the zone that I really don't expect to be taken out in a single move, just to have like 200 points move through it. It is very rare, and these zones doesn't give up that easily, and this zone here and this zone here is going to be broken at some point. Usually it would be like this, like testing, and then going through, or maybe a swift bang to it, then retracement, then a pullback on a first test, then maybe one another, and then swiftly through it, but not like this, like phew, through it. And also both of these zones can be broken by a large overnight gap. But now when DAX is having just a small pause between basically between 10 p.m. and 1:15 a.m., that kind of gapping above resistance or gapping below support are hard to expect. When when the futures market started from 8 a.m., then it was a big pause from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. and in that big pause something can happen, and when you woke up it would be like a larger gap up or down. But now with this new trading hours it's not the case. And now you observe this. Another very slow grind and grind and grind and grind, and here is the important point right there, around 15:30 Central European time. It is the time when US market is opening, and if you are watching this zone, so it would be a legitimate and good idea to short this zone on the pullback. Now you are closing here this long, or this is your first trade or whatever, this is a pullback to zone, and now you can short it. And now you see this short is around 1:45 p.m. let's say, and then they're testing and testing the zone again, and the time when the US market is going to open approaches, and now it is really not a good time to be patient at this zone that is in the middle of the range. It is much better to close, because this could happen. And this move is just to pick stops that are above this zone, because now everybody can see that this is a downside move, then a pullback, and maybe we could get a continuation like this, like an easy move to the downside from here, from the basically pre-market low. That this could be like a look above and fail, look into the pre-market range, which is this, and go below. But this really here is just stop hunt up. They tested this pre-market support zone, but nevertheless nobody could catch this. Really, it was really a swift move. So expectation is that our shorters, that our sellers are here, and they have small stops, and this move is just to stop them. And if you got stopped here, observing this price action and drawing yourself a trend line like this could be very helpful for you to enter yet again. Sometimes you will be stopped, maybe even 2 times. It is a rare thing, but usually if it is some kind of stop hunt or whatever, some kind of spike that got you out of the trade, but the idea is still valid for us to have a pullback here, then you will enter again. And when you are entering here again, now 2 things are important. First thing is US market is already on, New York Stock Exchange is on, they are in their own regular trading hours, and now we are going to watch what the S&P is doing, and in this time, and by all of this time, you should really ask yourself, is the high of the day set? This is it. Is the low of the day set? This is it. If the low of the day is set, then you are asking from here, from this short, only a move to this current daily low and nothing more. If the high, is set, then if you are holding your long from here, then you are not expecting it to go all the way to here. You're expecting just zone to zone, and with this here trade, you're again expecting zone to zone. But now your target is even smaller a bit. Look where this move ended. Just a couple of points above this. At that time current daily low, and now it is a daily low. Why? Because everybody was closing here. And you should also, when you see that they are struggling, that we are not going to get a lower low, that the price isn't going to go to the yesterday low or to this, in this here couple of minutes of time, you really have to close this. As you can see, they got it all the way back, and this move you could manage also with looking at the S&P, what they did. So what they did, this is S&P, they pushed the price of the open to the overnight high. They got rejected there, and then they hit a support zone with this unfilled gap, and they filled that gap and immediately start to go higher. At this time here, DAX was here. This is the same time. And when you see the S&P is bouncing and DAX is very close here to this current daily low, you're going to close. So this is it. That was the opportunities. Basically, this is clear-cut first test of the zone. Then this shorting on a pullback, first time unsuccessful, second time successful. So this here, worst case scenario -1R. This one is could be let's say 2R at best. And the same goes for this trade, and the same goes for this trade. So these that are winners should be like 2R, and those two in the middle that was losers, this long and this short here, -1R. So you could make money today, but really no skipping of the opportunities, if you know what I mean. So you shouldn't really skip opportunities. This is the first opportunity, and it was grinding, and I can understand. I personally didn't trade much today because I have a sick child at home, and this was really tough to hold all of this in real time when you're looking that it could go lower, but it didn't. And it is again a confirmation how complacent really this market is, especially US market, which is holding DAX also, that you have a situation like 29 out of 30 is negative, and yet market doesn't even test yesterday lows. It just stays here. And this range continues, and until we see a clear cut break above or below this range, we are going to do just hit and run trades, just zone to zone trades. 30, 40, 50 points could be done here. Hardly anything better than that, but you know, it is what it is until we get a clean break. And that is it for this edition of DAX recap video. I wish you good trading and good night.